So people hear me saying all the time that advocacy is the #1 mission of the Association of Vermont Credit Unions, and the same is true for every other credit union league across the country and CUNA, our national organization. And that's why we're here, fortunate to be here, with about 43 or so Vermont credit union leaders who are among about 5,300 to 5,500 of their credit union peer leaders from across the country attending this CUNA Governmental Affairs Conference in this glorious Washington Convention Center right here in Washington, D.C. We're fortunate to be hearing a lot of great speakers, both from federal government positions, regulatory positions, motivational speakers, all kinds of great presentations going on, workshops, hundreds of exhibitors. It's the nation's largest credit union conference that takes place at any point during the course of the year. So we took some time to interview some of our participants from Vermont and a few other people to get their impressions of this conference, why they think it's important to be here, and what really interested them the most. So take a listen.
I've really enjoyed it. It's been great to see people from all over the country supporting credit unions, and I've met a lot of different folks who are board members, CEOs, VPs of lending, and it's just seeing how they manage their organizations and kind of learning from that and knowing what their issues have been has been really enlightening to me. And I've got a lot to think about and talk to my board about. Get exposure to what's happening in the broader sort of nation than you do just in Vermont. And oftentimes you can take the best ideas you see out there and bring them back to your state. And I think any board member, would benefit from having. I'd say the highlight for me was definitely this Hill visit. When it's one thing to see, Welch and Leahy and Sanders on TV, but when you're in a room 10 feet from them and it's apparent they really actually care about your issues and understand them, it's really gratifying to see. And that back and forth between the three of them and us in terms of questions. Also, I learned something that I didn't know about some of the lending that we were doing, during the shutdown. I learned a little bit more about the cannabis issue, about the issue with competition with Freddie Mae and Freddie Mac. So that was really interesting to me. And I'll go back, and now I can tell folks that we had this interaction with our legislators, and they're available to us. And they want to know what's happening, and I also would feel much more comfortable if I had an issue at a credit union level, just going to them or calling one of their aides and having a discussion.
If you are new to the credit union industry, sign up to be a crasher. Check out that experience. You get to interface with people from all over the country. You get a new network of people within a week's time. If you've been in the industry for a few years, it's a great opportunity to get re-energized and reconnected with the purpose and mission of why you started working at a credit union in the first place. So I think whether you're new or you've been around for a while, coming to GAC will reinvigorate you and get you fired up to go back home and bring more energy and more value back to your home credit union. So highly encourage people to come. For me, I think I learned a lot this week about the importance of advocacy. I think it's really easy for us to just accept the reality that we're given, whether it's in the regulatory environment or the competitive environment. And what this conference taught me or reminded me is that we have control over our own destiny. If we use our powers of cooperation to come together, we can affect our own future, and we can author our own future, and for the benefit of our members and our employees. So the importance of advocacy, the importance of that work might not be something you think about every day, but luckily we have the AVCU, we have Joe, Brian, and the team that are working tirelessly on our behalf to make sure that Vermont credit unions are well positioned for the future and that our mission will stay as bright as it's ever been. So, advocacy, a big word that I think I'm excited to learn more about and get more involved with.
Okay, we're here at the GAC, which is one of my favorite events, and the reason for that is that we're here with roughly 5,500 of my closest friends, and although I really like to talk about numbers, and we have a whole bunch of numbers that show that credit unions are just doing a bang-up job in the marketplace, the most exciting piece of this for me is that I get to visit with all the folks that are here and hear their stories. And I got to tell you, it's so inspirational to hear what people are telling policymakers and to understand in a real concrete way the difference that credit unions are making in people's lives and how they're changing communities throughout this nation.
I came open-minded, hoping to learn a lot from other people, from other credit unions and other fellow crashers. And I think I learned a lot, which I am going to use back at my credit union at the local community to make some changes. 99 other friends, that was a favorite thing. And CUNA really opened up my eye about the credit union movement and how we, as an individual person, credit union, a state can make a difference to change the regulations and all that to help and serve out. It's a really cool experience. I never met Patrick Leahy or Bernie Sanders or our congressman. That fact, yeah. So it was really cool. I mean, I was kind of hesitant at first, but they were down to earth and they really explained and what they're doing here for us. So it was really recommended. A lot of people to come here, but which is not possible all the time. But I highly recommend each credit union to send at least one person from their end to make sure that they have someone, youth, coming here to make a difference, to hear other people and what they are doing. Crashing the GAC was the best experience I had, and I'm sure if you are watching this video and trying to get into the crashing program, please feel free to do that. It will make you'll see the credit union and their movement from a different eyes, different perspectives, and you'll really love it.
It's neat. So I think this is probably my 16th year at the GAC. We have 5,000 people here, and despite the fact I think nationally and as well as in Vermont, we have the number of credit unions going down, attendance here is going up. And I think that's two things. I think that speaks well to leagues, that speaks well to CUNA, and also speaks of basically there's no days off in terms of advocacy, that it's important to get involved. We have very important issues, and if we kind of take it for granted, we'll be regretting. So this is some getting to the front burner and getting to the action issues, and we have 45 Vermonters down this year. So I think a few things for people that have not been here before. First, you'll be surprised at some of the speakers that you'd see. For example, John Kerry, they have as a speaker. Vice President Michael Pence will be coming tomorrow as a speaker. So really you get an opportunity to get up close and personal, hear some representations and speeches from these individuals of what they have in terms of legislatively, what they're trying to do, and why credit unions are important to their type of roles. I think the other big part is the networking that goes in. Meeting with some of your peers, whether they're from Vermont or other states, get to share credit union issues, talk about challenges, talk about opportunities, and then of course the biggest one is advocacy. We talk about advocacy, I think, every day at our association, but it's a different experience when you're sitting in front of the legislator, putting out the points, and to hear their stories. Sometimes we get challenged of, the banks are objecting about this, or we're getting some other type of feedback from the CFPB. Tell me the credit union story. Explain the credit union difference of why I need to advocate on behalf of you and your members.
Well, I think it's always good to have a gathering of people to talk and just hopefully share a common purpose. Talk about why we are credit unions and what we should be doing as credit unions. So I like a lot of the rally that comes out of these events. I always hope that we can carry that back when we go back to our own individual credit unions. Obviously, it sends a good message to Washington, Capitol Hill, if you will, to our members of Congress. I think that There's always power and strength, power in numbers, I guess I would say strength in numbers. But I think that there's also a good chance for you to reconnect with people and really get to talk about some of the common things that credit unions face. It could be directors talking to directors about issues of governance. It could be CEOs or other people, maybe other people of positions in credit unions talking about things they do. I think there's great networking opportunities. It's a great rallying opportunity. And I think it's a great opportunity to strengthen, hopefully, our position with our members of Congress.
Well, I think this year in particular is, I think John Kerry's presentation was a knockout. I mean, he knocked it out of the park. He had everyone in the palm of his hand. He didn't talk about politics a whole lot, but he talked about issues that people relate to. And more importantly, he tied it into the credit union family, which was, I think, very important. What CUNA gives credit unions as a whole is the ability to be represented by being able to donate to members of Congress that support credit unions. Pretty important as far as the laws and regulations that credit unions have to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
So thanks for watching our Vermont perspective of the 2019 CUNA Governmental Affairs Conference. And we hope you can be with us when Vermont credit unions again come to Washington, D.C. for the 2020 CUNA Governmental Affairs Conference.